Hello and welcome to session 5. Today is all about identifying anxiety-based issues in your relationships and social life. So first of all, let's look at the 3 different modes we can be in when we're communicating with others. We can be in child mode, parent mode, or adult mode. And these are within our close personal relationships or our communications with strangers and the wider world. Now, child mode is when we are feeling, behaving, reacting in a mode that we would have when we were ourselves a child. We may feel vulnerable, scared, taken aback. We might feel impulsive, want to buy things, want things now, gambling, drinking, for example. But also, on the other hand, on the more positive side, we could be mucking about, laughing, being impulsive in a fun way. Let's go and do this today and let's go and have fun and party, or go and have fun and relax. So that's child mode. Parent mode is where we are almost mimicking our own parents, caregivers, whoever brought us up. We're almost mimicking them. So we'll have similar behaviours and traits to them when we're in this mode. If we were brought up in an environment where the caregivers were shouting at us, we may become shouty ourselves. If we got told off a lot, we might sort of tell other people off a lot. So when we look at how we are when we're in parent mode, if we can identify that, we can sort of see the similarities to our own caregivers or parents. In adult mode, we will be more realistic, more calm, balanced, and in control of ourselves. So this is the nicer place to be, I guess. When we meet somebody else, whether we know them or not, in adult mode, and they are in adult mode, we're equal. We're on an equal footing, and we can have generally a balanced relationship there. If, however, they're in parent mode, or they're reminding us of our caregivers, parents, bullies, someone domineering to us, for example, in a negative way, we may be triggered into child mode. Therefore, they go up a peg from adult and we come down a peg into child. And we may then react in a childlike way where we might be impulsive, be vulnerable, scared, shouting, what have you. Vice versa. We could be in parent mode and someone else can be in child mode. Now, I don't want to go into this in major detail because it gets too complex, but also it's just to give you an idea of 3 of the modes that we can be in at any one time. And it can be useful to understand when we're in child mode, a parent mode, or an adult mode with others, and maybe how they are being with us, because we can balance things up and try to get back into adult mode for our good relationships. Because if we're in child mode, it can cause anxiety. And again, in parent mode, it can, because we can feel guilt and shame. So just a few things to think about as to the mode that you might be in at any one time in your relationships, be them close or far. We've already looked at being authentic in ourselves, and now I'd like you to look at being authentic in your relationships. How many relationships do you have that are authentic? An authentic relationship is based on trust. It's one that you'll be really comfortable in. Someone you can really hang out with. There's no pressure. You can even be in silence with people in authentic relationships. It's where you're being your true self with that other person, and you know that they're being their true selves to you. Those relationships are special. Think about who you've got in your life who you have an authentic relationship with. We have all sorts of other relationships which can be more inauthentic, where we might find ourselves using personas, where there isn't so much trust. Might be work colleagues, it might be acquaintances, whoever they are. Have a look at who you've got in your life and who you need, how authentic your relationships are, how worthwhile they are to you, and how worthwhile you are to them. It's good to have a check-in and think about the relationships that you're in. Inauthentic relationships can be based on game playing, wanting change. You might want someone to change to please you. They might want you to change to please them. But we don't need to change our core personality in order to fit in with someone else. We need to have relationships that are as authentic as possible, where we're accepted, we're validated, not invalidated and not accepted. Assumptions in relationships. This is a topic that comes up more times than virtually anything else in my client sessions, purely because we all make assumptions at one time or another. It's human nature. Our brains are busy, they fantasize, they make up stories, whether we like it or not. If we do not have the facts about something, we will generally try to sort of get the other pieces of the jigsaw and finish the story. However, we're often going to finish the story based on how we feel about it already, or how, if it's to do with us, how we feel about ourselves. So if we're on a negative sort of path about ourselves, and someone has said something that we could possibly take as a jibe or as a negative towards us, or even if we're ignored, for example, we might think, well, they don't like us, or, they don't like me, they don't want to spend time with me, I've done something wrong. But what if that's not the case? Essentially, we can really push people away when we make assumptions in the worst case scenarios. So, for example, if someone did ignore us, but it was just that they were busy that day and they didn't really notice us, we could be thinking, they don't like me, what have I done to them? We might get angry about it, we might get sad about it. If we're sad about it, we may withdraw. If we're angry about it, we may also withdraw, but we might also sort of be standoffish. If we withdraw or we're standoffish, what is that person then thinking or assuming? almost pushing them away, keeping them at arm's length because we think they have a slight on us, but in actual fact maybe that's not the case, and probably it's not. So what do we do when we're assuming? We have to try to find out the facts. We can't always find out facts because we can't always directly ask the questions that we want to ask. Depends. Diplomacy comes into it, and it depends on who the person is and the scenario that we're in. If we can get the facts, if we can ask the question, oh, didn't you see me the other day? Then we can find out, did they or not? We can get facts rather than based on what our mind is telling us. Something else that we can do if we're assuming the worst is to make a note of all the other things that it could be. So if that person did ignore us, or we think they did, what if they were busy? What if they had something on their mind? What if they were looking at something else? And all different scenarios that may come up for you when you're assuming, instead of looking at just the worst case scenario, look at all the other things that it could be. And then maybe add a percentage to them. What are the chances that it's the worst case scenario compared to all these other things that it might be? So that's something that you can do if you can't actually get the facts and you can't ask the question. The definition of an assumption is something that we accept is true or is certain to happen without proof. The point is, it's always without proof. Do you relate to making assumptions? I'm sure you do, because we all make them. But do they cause negativity in your life? Do they end up causing you anxiety? It's another thing that we can work on that helps to bring anxiety down, or anxiety causing situations down. So finally in this session we're going to look at expectations. The expectations that we have of others and of the wider world. So we can all have hopes and dreams, which are all very nice, but what are our expectations? We might have them on a daily basis, and probably do. Even the most relaxed people have expectations. That can range from the smaller stuff, such as expecting the weather to be as predicted and forecast. But it might be the bigger stuff, like expecting our job to last forever, expecting a family member, a sibling, a partner to be a certain way with us. Do you know what your expectations are? Do you notice when you're building expectations up? Expectations are fine, but what happens when our expectation is not fulfilled? What if we're let down? Or what we expected just doesn't happen? It happens differently. Then we have to deal with change. And all of this can be avoided if we can tweak what we expect and how we expect it. So let's look at our different range of expectations and what we can do with them. Our expectations of those who are closest to us can actually have the most impact in a positive way, but also in a negative way. And this is where boundaries come in, where we need to be able to say what we need. So if we expect something of a friend, a partner, a sibling, parent, caregiver, and they're not giving it to us, and we're not voicing our need, then the expectation is not met and we're not doing anything about it, and then we feel out of control. And as human beings, we like to be in control. And I'm not talking about controlling others, but being in control of what we're doing and what we need. So that's those emotionally close to us. Think about your expectations in those types of relationships. Are your expectations too high, too low, just about right? Millie has joined me for this bit. So, next we're looking at expectations of those not as close to us. So they could be work colleagues. What do we think of them? Are they pulling their weight? Are they doing a good job? Are they making our lives difficult? Or are we having good relationships with them? Strangers we meet, are we making, having expectations, making assumptions again, but having expectations of how people should behave? And the word should here is actually key, because if we're using the word should, we normally know that we're having an expectation at that point, whether it's we should be doing something, or they should be doing something, or you should be doing something. So if someone pulls out on you and you're like, well, they're rude, they don't care, they should be like this, they should be like that. Okay, that may well be right. However, if our expectations are too high and we think everyone should be the same or as we would be in certain situations, then we're going to feel quite let down, whether it be in our job, with strangers in the street, when we're driving, when we're travelling. So look at how you are and what your expectations of the wider world are. Expectations of nature and the wider world around us and all the events that unfold, whether it be government decisions, world events, things we care about. With these types of expectations of what we think should happen or what is right and just, does require a lot of acceptance at times. Some things are really out of our control. Sometimes we feel really small and that we have no power at all to change certain events, political decisions, etc. Animal welfare, things like that as well. So we need acceptance, or we need to know, can we use people power, petitions or things like that. So is there something that we can do about these things that we expect to be a certain way, that we're really disappointed about? Or is there really nothing we can do and we just have to accept it? Sometimes acceptance is actually key. It doesn't mean we condone something. It doesn't mean we say it's right or that we're happy about it. It's not about forgiveness or anything like that. Acceptance is always about giving ourselves a break and saying, well, there's nothing I can do about this thing, so I purely have to accept it. When we think about all those things that we really care about, or things that happen to us that we're not happy about, think about, will I care about this next week, next month, next year, tomorrow? Because if you won't, then don't give it too much of your time today. Last, but certainly not least, going to look at expectations of self. This is something we're actually in control of, but we don't often see it. If our expectations are too high of ourselves, we may feel like a failure. A word I don't like to use, but a word that I hear a lot from clients. If we set our expectations too high, we may be disappointed. And being disappointed with self can have a knock-on effect on how we are with others, how we are in our relationships, and certainly our self-care, as we know. So if you ever think of the word failure, for yourself particularly, think about this. We do not fail, we learn. It's true. We learn from any mistakes we make. We learn from our experiences. We do things differently next time. Something to think about if you're ever using the word failure. So that's all for this session. So bye for now. Take care.